So namaloha. So if you're new to this channel and you're looking for like an educational video on human design, this is not the channel for you. Of course, you'll be educated, but this is really for my fractal, my soul tribe. So this is, I'm doing a reading here, a transmission, if you want to call it, on 2025 year, kind of a reflection back of 2025. And how do you know you're on my fractal? Your body immediately relaxes when you hear my voice. Something gets activated within you, an energy, a frequency, and there's a recognition, a remembering. My ascendant is in the 33rd gate, so I'm here to help people to remember what you already know. And if you got a lot of Scorpio in your chart, definitely you are on my fractal. And if you have a past life memory of being a Cathar, that's also a signature. Okay. So you can, I did a video on the Cathars. You can go back in the information box later and watch the video and then watch the documentary. And if you're not grooving, you're not really vibing with me and my voice, and then, yeah, no hard feelings. Don't waste your time. Go find your fractal, right? Put a prayer out. Okay. So, 2025. So let's just quickly talk about the new year for, according to human design. So this is the mandala, the big mandala. All the planets move through the mandala, right? Counterclockwise, except the nodes. Nodes go in the other direction. And this is the start. It's the 41. That's the start of everything right there, right? So the sun is boom, 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 orbiting, and then it gets to the very beginning in the 41. And is it that January 1st? No, never is. Because right now we're in the 58. The sun, as of December 28th today, we're in the 58. And then by the time we get to December 31st, right, New Year's, according to the Gregorian calendar, which is all made up, we're in the 38th gate, right? What's the 38th gate? It's struggle. So it's not very smart to be doing your New Year's resolutions and your new habits when you're in the gate of struggle, right? It's like swimming upstream. But again, don't take my word for it. Just feel. It's really this cross of the sleeping phoenix now is to feel and to trust your form consciousness. Trust your vehicle. Where is the energy now? I talked about this in my last video. We have to start aligning with this new way of being, right? So you'll be able to feel it. Oh yeah, I don't feel it, right? I don't feel it. I feel like I'm pushing against something like an obstacle, you know? You want to be swimming with the river, right? Wherever the river's going. And the river's going fast when the sun moves into the 41st gate. And that's around January 22nd or 21st. Don't quote me on it. I'm not good with like little teeny weeny details. That's what my iCal's for. The other thing you need to know about me is I'm 3 parts right. My variable. So I approach human design in more of an intuitive way, more of a receptive way than like a logical, because some people really like that logical way. That's raw. Raw was 3 parts left. I'm 3 parts right. Okay, so we did this, the 41st. So that's around January 22nd. I believe it's the 21st or the 22nd. I'll let you know. So the 2025 year was when the sun moved into that 41st gate. So this is the imprint, the neutrino imprint here of this chart. So this gives us lots of information, all these planets and nodes, they're archetypes. So they give you lots of information about what the matrix, what the Maya was up to last year. Right? So there's going to be particular themes. And again, it's specific for my fractal. It's not a general overall. This is for everybody read. It's for my fractal. Okay, so let's start off with the moon. There's the moon at 50.6. coming off the spleen. So again, you'll learn about your chart natally too. So you want to make sure that you get your chart. There's a free a link to get your free chart, and then you can learn and subscribe to my channel, and you'll learn about your own natal chart. This is a transit chart. This is a transit chart. Okay. So with transits, there's a theme, right? The matrix theme, the programming that can pull you away. If you're not your authentic self, it pulls you away into not self. So this cross of the sleeping phoenix that's coming in 2027, it's all about being your authentic self. And so what I'm showing you and guiding you to as a projector is that this is the transits that can pull you away from authenticity. But if you're smart and you're wise, you can use this energy. You can borrow this energy. It's like you borrow the energy. Oh, I have my willpower center defined, right? As an example, I can really use this energy, but I know it's not mine because my willpower center isn't defined. But I'm going to use that extra oomph of will, right, during this transit, right? For example. Okay, so let's go into the themes of the 2025. And so what's great about this is you've got until January 22nd to wrap it up, right when the new year starts. So this can give you a sense of, oh yeah, I gotta still work on this particular theme, right? So let's look at the moon. So this is the moon is what emotionally drives us. And it's not what you think about, right? It's what you're emotionally invested in. So it's activated the 50th gate, line 6. So this is what motivates behavior, right? And it's what you feel compelled to do. So this was a year, right, that you were emotionally exhausted with doing what's right, right? The 50th gate is about responsibility, right? Feeling responsible for everyone around you. This is about what needs to be protected and what's right. This is part of the caretaking channel, right? The 50, the 27 is on the other side. So with my fractal, with the divine feminines in my fractal that identify as divine feminine, they carry ancestral weight anyway. This is part of what they've come into this incarnation, is to transmute their ancestral programming. They hold emotional containers for others, right? They're the emotionally stable one, right? I put in quotation marks there. They're the ones emotionally regulating everybody, managing everybody else's emotions. And they feel responsible for what goes wrong. People are in bad moods or whatever. It's like they immediately take it on. They sense danger before it appears. Their nervous system is on high alert. This is my fractal. And line 6, this says, right, because we go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6th line is the tippy top of the hexagram. So line 6 says, I no longer believe in the rules, right? The 50th gate is about rules, right? Tribal rules that I was taught. So emotionally, your system was driven by disillusionment with authority this year. Exhaustion from being the one that, why do I have to be the one that holds it all together for my family, for my partner, for my community and my friends, right? I'm the one that's got to take on all this responsibility. Like, you get exhausted with that role that you've been playing. Refusal to keep carrying values that aren't lived by others, right? That you're carrying these ancestral values, right? So an ancestral value could be like you marry someone and then you stay with them until death do you part, And it's like, why am I holding on to this value? Nobody around me is, you know? So really questioning these values that you've inherited. And who am I? Who am I if I stop being the good daughter? Who am I if I stop being the good sister, the good wife, the good friend? Who am I then? Right? Who am I if I drop my responsibilities? Right? Um, so this year emotionally forced you to confront identities built on responsibility. All your identities that were built on responsibility. Right? Your self-worth, what your self-worth was tied to. Being the reliable one, right? Being the one that always does the right thing, always says the right thing. Being the strong one, right? Not showing any vulnerability, right? The one that everybody comes to, right? To if they have a problem. And being the one that it fixes others. You're fixing problems. You're fixing people. People come to you in crises, right? So this was the moon this year was I cannot keep being this version of myself. This version of me has to die to be the fixer, to be the savior, the one that has it all together. Right? I can't keep carrying this. So this was a huge emotional mutation. Remember, we're in a great time of mutation right now. We're closing up this wheel. 2026. This is the last year. Be 2027. Very, very soon. You think this year went by fast. You blink your eye. This is going to be gone fast. So the emotional truth of this year was what emotionally drove you was the refusal to keep carrying that which was killing you, killing your soul. This is what like corruption, right? The 50th gate is the gate of corruption, the shadow of corruption, right? What was corrupting me? It's not an integrity with me anymore. So emotionally, you're being forced to mutate, right? So this was a collapse, but it was necessary because you can't live authentically with enforcing values that aren't yours, right? Judging other people that are, dropping their responsibilities, right? That's not authenticity. You've borrowed these values; they're not yours, right? So values that punish your body, letting go of those, right? Values that deny your pleasure, values that reward you for being not self, values that reward you for wearing a mask, and not right. You just go, all your needs just get buried. It's about everybody else's needs, or calling sacrifice love, right? Or calling sacrifice love. So this is what you need to look at with the moon. And the moon's powerful, right? Powerful. Emotionally look at like, oh, what have I dropped this year? Maybe take a moment to reflect on that. Have I dropped these roles? Like, have I dropped these so-called responsibilities, right? That I played in my family, in my community, in my friendships, right? So there's the moon. And then if we go to the nodes, let's go. Okay, so let's look at the nodes there, the 2025 nodes. And so you can see the south node was the 46.1 and the north node was the 25.1. So this is your point of view. Now remember, you natally have your own point of view, right? But this was like what the program was showing humanity, like look over here, look over here, look over here. So this is the screen, right? This is like the screen on the movie screen that you were seeing, this 4625 last year. So it's showing us what we're being shown as a collective and how our perception is shaped. Our perception is shaped. So this was the movie humanity was watching in 2025. right? So it's like you're wearing VR glasses. These are the VR glasses you put on, humanity put on. So it's imposing a collective viewpoint, and it's a narrow perception, and it overrides your own natural awareness. Remember, you have your own movie to watch, right? So self node 46, right? So I survive, right? This is the body 46. I survive by being useful to the collective. I survive by being useful to my community, to my family, to the group that I belong to. And this is the old camera lens, right? That you were trained to look through. This is conditioning. Your conditioning came up here. So this would be like over-identifying with groups, causes, communities, movements, feeling responsible for the well-being of your group or your family that you belong to, measuring your worth by your contribution, by your reliability, by being right, by being correct, by being in the right place socially, right? Like socially, you have a status, you're an important member of your community, right? Treating your body and energy as tools for the group. For the group, it's all about the group. Chronic self-monitoring. Am I doing enough? Am I positioned correctly? Should I be stepping up here? Should I be stepping down here? Where do I fit in the hierarchy, right? Am I helping? Am I helping enough? Serving, right? Serve without resting. Being very critical of yourself and constant adjustment to I have to do better, I have to do better. And of course you're looking for validation outside of yourself. So this was conditioning you, right? Which is my body is safest. My body is safest when it serves the group. I'm safe within the group, right? My body is safe within the group. So what is that? Betrayal script 101, right? So this is in your nervous system would let you know that you're betraying yourself, right? So by 2025, you probably felt exhausted by your community that you belong to, this group, the workplace, whatever it is, like groups of people. Disillusioned with the causes and the movements, like it wasn't really integrity. And in integrity, we were also passionate about this, but there's no follow through. You felt invisible, even though you gave to the group. You still felt invisible, and you weren't being valued within the group. You might have been quietly resentful, resentment building up. You felt physically depleted, emotionally numb, right? So if we go to the North Node, is in the 25.1, this is innocence. It's the gate of innocence. It's one of the love gates, right? So my innocence, this is what we're all looking for, is our innocence, wanting our innocence back. That's our soul, our spiritual nature. That your innocence belongs to your creative life, not to groups of people. They don't have access to your creativity. Your creativity belongs to your innocence belongs to your creativity. So this was the new camera lens for this year, 2025, and it probably felt terrifying at first, especially if you're conditioned to put all your needs below. Like number 11, number 12, and all the group always comes before your needs. So what life was trying to pull you towards was withdrawal from this group obligation, a collective obligation, reclaiming your creativity, your eroticism, right? Your sensuality, your playfulness, right? Your self-expression. And this was like letting life move through you instead of using you. Letting life move through you, right? Not using you. So this could have been creating without, there needs to be a purpose to my creativity, right? I need to make a job out of my creativity. So creating without a purpose, even without an audience, just for you. That's what you're being called to do. Allowing yourself to be unproductive, right? Now you don't need to justify your existence. This is what the 25 was leading you towards. You don't need to be allowing yourself to be private, right? Private, emotionally fluid, spontaneous, joyful, unexplainable. Not this heavy obligation, right? With the South Node and the 46. So the North Node in the 25 one was asking you the one thing that you can't be rewarded, right? This rewards like not self, how useful you are. North Node is like, can I do the one thing that I'll never be rewarded for, which is to stop being useful to the group, right? Can I embrace this? And if you haven't, then you got a couple more weeks. Like really, really embrace this new way of being. So usefulness, my fractal, usefulness is how you survived. You've been conditioned to be like, this is the tribal consciousness, right? I have to pull my weight. I've got to contribute somehow. That's how I'm safe, my body. That's how you survived. That's how you bond it with others. Or this is how you avoided abandonment and rejection, right? And you're letting this go and then embracing this play and joy and creativity and expression, self-expression, not censoring yourself. Your innocence. And this can feel unsafe, right? It can feel unsafe, especially if you haven't done your childhood, your inner child work, right? So this is like, you can go back and forth maybe in 2025. I should re-engage with this group. I should. They need me. They're lost without me. I should. Two, I can't go back. I can't go back there. So back and forth, right? And remember that tribal consciousness is guilt. They control. It's all about control. Control through guilt and shame. And if they're not doing it, you're doing it to yourself. So the core lesson of the movie for you was your creativity, your joy, and your innocence are not selfish, right? That's the guilt and shame. It's selfish to be thinking of yourself. What purpose does this serve? You need to monetize, right? You need to monetize this, right? And this is like, no, I'm not. Like your creativity, your joy, your innocence is not selfish. They're the source of your power, right? We're moving into 2027, the cross of the sleeping phoenix, which is very creative, very creative. There's things that you can do that AI cannot. AI is not creative, but you are. So you need to remember that. So this movie this year was really asking you to come back to yourself, come home to yourself, without an audience, without a role to play, without a cause, without a purpose, just to come back into your innocence. Right? This is all preparing you for 2027. Okay. And then let's go to Mercury, right? We'll go to Mercury. And Mercury was in the 54.6. So Mercury represents what we were thinking about as a collective, what we were talking about, what we were thinking about. But I'm focused on you, the fractal. What were you thinking about, right? What were you occupied with? What were you looping on, mentally looping on? What were you explaining and planning? So this is the inner monologue. This represents the inner monologue in 2025, right? And this is the program. So gate 54 is all about ambition. It's climbing to the top, right? It's this ascension, material ascension. So it's not just about money, right? This is the shadow of greed. It's not just about money in the simple sense of the word. It's about social, climbing the social ladder. It's about hierarchy. It's about leverage, knowing the right people, right? It's improving yourself through alliance, right? Aligning with the right groups of people, right? So the core question of the Gate 54, what do I need to align with to rise? Who do I need to align with to rise? So in shadow, because we're talking about the shadow here, and if you don't have Mercury in the 54, this is not you. It's not self. So this was pulling you into not self. So this would be like climbing for approval, climbing to the top for approval. I want approval. I want validation. Trading your soul for position, right? Maybe for a title if you're in a workplace. I want to get to the top. I want to get to the tippy top here of the ladder. Why? Right? Why? Trading your soul's purpose for that. This is like getting trapped in this, right? Thinking about it. Grinding towards someone else's idea of success. Well, people are successful. They've got like this brand new Tesla car or whatever. They own their own place. Like getting trapped into someone else's definition of success that's not yours. Thinking about this. But it's line 6. And that's the gift right there, line 6. And line 6 is the end of the road. It's the tippy top of the hexagram. This is like the roof, right? You can see. So the 6 is like, I'm not climbing anymore. I can see where this is going, right? Even look at it like with college programs. Well, you get the degree and you do this and they follow the script. But if you're up on the roof, you can see, the trap of that, like debt. The debt that takes forever to pay off. Jobs that don't come through. This is the cross of planning collapsing. This is like, why am I striving for this? I can see where it leads, right? So you're watching other people climb here, and you see who benefits. This whole system is rigged that we live in. I think we're getting a good sense of this right now, that it's not people aren't successful. They don't go to the top of the ladder from merit, you know? It's about who you're aligned with, You see who benefits, right? The American dream. People are seeing right through it now. They see who's burned out. They're not happy. They're at the tippy top. Look at them. They're the CEO. They've got millions and millions of dollars. They've got these houses. They can travel, and they're miserable, right? This is the 6th line. Shows you the truth, right, of what we've been fed with the cross of planning. You see what success costs. What's the cost of success? No time to myself, no freedom, right? And so the Mercury in 54.6 was about questioning the whole ladder, right? That's the beauty of the 6, questioning the whole ladder. What do I value, right? What does success mean to me? Is it material? Is it accumulating material things? Or is it deeper? Something deeper. So the mental tone here was, I understand how this system works now. And I'm 100% sure I don't want it. It's not for me, right? I'm not sure if I want this. So this would show up with Mercury, right? And the 54.6 is a constant questioning, second-guessing plans, rethinking your commitments, hesitation before you say yes or commit to anything, mental fatigue around the next step, and more like, why am I doing this again? Right? Why am I doing this? So mentally, 2025 was full of thoughts like, who set these rules? Who said that this is what success means? Right? Why is this considered success? Why does this require self-denial? Why does this require such a sacrifice from me and my authenticity? Why do the most responsible people get the least amount of freedom? Right? So this gate in line was saying, don't decide your future while you're disillusioned. This brings disillusionment. Let the old ambitions finish collapsing first. So maybe you left the corporate world, right? You had the taste of this so-called success that we've been fed, and it's like, no, it's not for me, right? So this is about letting, because remember, it's all about aligning with your authenticity. So your definition of success will be different than other people's definition of success. You can see prosperity is right in the chart. We all have our own relationship with prosperity. Like for me, it's not material. Of course, I need material things in my life, right? I've got to take care of this body. I've got to feed it and have a roof over it, and my other things. But I'm not driven by money, right? I never have been, or having a bunch of material things around me, because immediately if you have material things, you got to take care of them, right? So what was I going to say? Let's get this alert off first. Here. Gonna delete some files. Be right back. Okay. Just had to delete some files to make some space. I'm not sure if you saw that alert or not. Okay, what was I talking about? Oh, my definition of prosperity has always been I just want to be myself. Even when I was a child, it's like I just want to be myself and be supported in being my authentic self. I knew that even at a young age, that's what true freedom is. And then creativity, being creative is also prosperity for me. So this is something that you have to discover for yourself. What does prosperity mean for me? What's important to me? What's authentic to me? Not be borrowing other people's definition of success, and certainly not, what we've been conditioned to believe success is and what will give us happiness, Okay, so this would be okay. So that would be Mercury. So that's really, really positive. So maybe this is something that you need to explore a little bit more before the new year comes, of what success means for you, and thinking about that, getting clear on that. Make sure that it's you. It's what you want, right? What your soul wants. Okay, so if we go to Mars, Mars is interesting. It's in the 62nd gate, line 4. And Mars is the pressure. It's the pressure that we feel to change. This is what needs to mutate, is the Mars in the transit chart. So pressure to change, mutate, effort, frustration. This is friction. It brings friction too. It's showing the collective what needs to change, right? And the 62 is all about details. Details. I don't have the 62, right? But details, language, right? It's explanation, explaining. This is about naming, giving everything names. When you're a child, that's a tree, that's a dog. What we're taught to name everything in the Maya. Defining, clarifying, explaining, getting the words right. And so this is all mental details. It's not anything to do with wisdom, right? This is where we've conflated intellectual. Oh, that person's really intelligent because they're good at naming things, right? They have this huge vocabulary for naming things. Is it wisdom? No. So this is the expert, right? These are the experts, the 62, and this is changing, right? Because it's a key, right? I won't go down that road because that's like a whole other video. So the shadow of the 62 is over explaining, TMI, right? justifying your choices, thinking if you say it better, it will finally work. If I just find the right words, right? If I just explain it better, it will finally work. And then it's line 4, which is influence, networks, right? Networks of people. So this is about how information circulates, right? What spreads socially, what gets repeated, and what others expect you to articulate for them. So in Mars, 62.4 is about explaining things to other people, translating for groups of people, translating for groups, correcting misunderstandings, being the reasonable one, being the interpreter. So this is exhausting. This is exhausting because you've got to feed, right? The brain, especially if you have a left brain, right? In your PHS, it takes a lot of prana to feed that brain. That brain, it takes a lot of energy to feed that brain. So this is like felt the pressure with Mars, feeling the pressure to explain your beliefs, justify the path that you're taking, defending your worldview and how you see things, clarifying your spirituality, making sense for other people. And not because you wanted to, but because other people demanded it. Well, explain yourself, right? Explain. I don't understand. Explain yourself. And in Cancer, right? This is a Cancer ruled gate. I'll explain myself. If I explain myself well enough, I'll be safe. I won't be rejected. So you wasted all this energy on details, details. So this is the nervous system saying, let me clarify so no one misunderstands me. Let me soften myself so that no one feels threatened. Soften my words, right? So no one feels threatened. Let me explain my feelings so I'm not abandoned. So this is emotional survival. This had to mutate this year. So this placement created frustration about having to explain obvious truths to you. Obvious truths. And as soon as you're doing that, you're not in your fractal. As soon as you have to explain everything, projectors get this when they don't get you. And then you're going into this energy. I can't even go there anymore because it's like I'm hemorrhaging. I'm hemorrhaging my energy when I go there, trying to make myself understood, right? The new way is frequency and resonance. It's not this. I have to explain myself and where I'm coming from, right? Sometimes it's like, where do you even go? Like, where do you even start? Sometimes I just wish I could put my finger on their third eye and give them the download here so I don't have to explain everything, right, where I'm coming from. So this is exhausting for my fractal. An irritation at being misunderstood on purpose, especially if you get somebody that's trying to dominate you intellectually. Remember, divine feminine, your body is your oracle, not your intellect, right? So getting you in arguments, leaking your energy, you have to defend yourself. They're doing it on purpose. Exhaustion from trying to translate from your depth, right, into like palpable language that they understand. God, I get this one big time. This one, like the depth of who you are, and trying to translate that to somebody who does not resonate with you, right? Resentment at always being the one that has to clarify, right? Clarify. Because again, it's this waste of energy. So this made you done with trying to educate rooms that weren't listening to you. They can't listen to you. So like going into this energy and leaking buckets and buckets of energy to help yourself be understood to people that will never understand you. So what's the loop here? When you don't integrate, because this is something that you're called to integrate. When not integrate, this Mars loop looks like if I could just say it better, right? They'd get it. They'd understand me if I could just say it better. If they'd get it, then things would change. If they understood me, things would change. Why am I always over explaining? Right? Why doesn't anything actually change? And that loop uses energy and produces no movement. No movement. And if you are in karmic relationships, this will be up big time for you. And they're not going to understand you because they're not aligned with you in frequency. Remember, there's people that we're choosing now. Some people are going to go on the sleeping phoenix way, right? Some are going to hold on to the old cross of planning way. It doesn't matter how articulate you are. You're not going to be able to like bring them to your side. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're destined to go that path. You're destined to go this path way. So that's the loop. So no real movement and exhaustion. So what was the real mutation that Mars was demanding? Mars is demanding a mutation in the chart. Mars wasn't asking you, right? There was to stop. What was Mars asking you? To stop participating in meaningless explanation loops, right? Mars was saying to stop doing this. Stop doing this because you're not getting anywhere. Stop explaining yourself to fit systems that feed on your energy. This is about bringing your energy back, Divine Feminine, right? Bringing your energy back to you, and being discerning how you use your energy. You know, in the days of the MGs and the generators having this boundless energy for not self is coming to an end. You're not going to be able to waste your energy. And look to the projectors. Look to the non-energy types. We'll show you, right? We'll show you how you waste your energy. And you're not going to, we had to learn the hard way because, right? Remember? Projectors wake up, they got a quarter tank of gas. The MGs, the Gs, they got the full tank of gas. Right? So it's just like practical. It's like I can't run around and make a bunch of mistakes because I don't have the energy to backtrack and do this and do that. You guys do, but not anymore. That's not this support of not self is not going to be. It's not going to be like it used to be, right? As we come closer to 2027. So the moment you stop explaining, wasting your energy, and you'll feel it. You know how you know? Go to your body. There's like this irritation in your solar plexus. That's the sign. I'm leaking my energy right now by over explaining. That person that will not understand. And especially if they hook you in some intellectual argument, debate. Another sign I'm leaking my energy. Bring your energy back. As soon as you stop explaining, your energy comes back. And that's the mutation, how you're using your energy. Don't get locked into details. Don't get locked going on the defense, right? No. Just like, no, I'm protecting my energy. And the people that are on your fractal, you won't have to do this crazy BS with them, right? They'll just get it. You don't need to go into details about it. You know, I was just talking to somebody today about this friend that I have, and it's like so efficient the way that we communicate. I can say one word, she can say another word, and we don't have to go into this whole detail, the details of how we got there and the proof and everything. We're just there in the present now moment, and it's so refreshing. And you feel enlivened by that connection, right? You feel nurtured by that connection. These connections, no, you feel drained, right? And frustrated. Like, why? There's no movement. I explain myself over and over and over again. They still don't get it, right? Okay. So let's go to Venus. Venus. And Venus is in the 22.2, right? Yeah, the 22.2. So Venus in 22.2, and then this is the Pisces Pisces gate. So this is what was being valued, idealized in the collective, rewarded, and emotionally promoted. This is the banner headline, right, of the whole year, 2025. So it's the gate of grace. So this is being seen as gracious or ungracious. So the key thing about the 22 is nothing is consistent. Everything depends on moods, right? It's all about mood, the 22. So this gate decides when love flows, when the doors open, when people are welcome. It's a very social gate, right? The 22. When people are welcome and when people are frozen out, right? So line 2 is projection. So this is unconscious and projected upon. So Venus 22.2 is not I choose to be graceful. This is projection, right? So it's not about that I'm choosing to be graceful. No, it's others decide for me. Other people around me decide whether I'm acceptable or not based on showing up, how I show up emotionally or how they show up emotionally, right? So the social message here becomes be open, be soft, be nice, right? Be emotionally pleasant, be charming, be available to me, right? Don't bring that heaviness and density into my life, right? And if you're not those things, then you're subtly excluded. You're not invited, right? You're at the event and people aren't coming and talking to you, right? Because you're not palpable, right? We need you to be nice. So what happens with Venus in the 22.2 is grace becomes a performance. A performance. You put on the mask. You put on the I'm fine face, right? So 2025 rewarded charm, being charming and witty, not authentic. Creative, right? Rewarded romantic fantasies, softness, beauty, surface beauty, right? And then quietly punished, right? So liked all those things. That's like the shadow of Venus in the 22. Quietly punished any kind of depth. Anybody speaking truth, anybody who was grieving, anybody who was angry or rageful, right? Anybody who was complex, anybody who was emotionally intense, right? That was quietly punished, right? You were excluded from the group. So Pisces, right? Pisces rules the 22, and that's all about illusion and escape, the shadow, right? And so Pisces blurs the boundaries, right? So Pisces is like, let's keep it dreamy, right? Let's not define anything. Let's feel good. Let's not deal with reality, right? Let's spiritually bypass. That would be Pisces 22.2. We'll spiritually bypass it and we'll call it compassion. Emotional fog, mistaken for, it's love, when it's emotional fog. Fantasy replaces intimacy, right? Oh, they didn't really mean to say that, right? Like fantasizing and projecting onto someone, not really seeing them in truth. So the Venus in 22.2 could have felt like a pressure to be emotionally nice, being rewarded for softness, not truth, right? The words that you use, self-censoring, not speaking the truth, being liked when you were light, right? Light and happy, ignored when you were being real, right? How are you doing? They just want to hear, I'm doing great. They don't want to hear the reality, right? The reality of what's going on in your life. Intimacy without depth, romance without any accountability, right? Not grounded. So you may have felt the falseness of this on my fractal. Maybe you saw the fakeness of all of this and you withdrew, right? So what's the loop? The Venus loop without you integrating? You felt if I'm open, I'm drained. If I close, I'm punished. So if I go to that event and I'm open, I feel like I'm drained. And if I close and protect myself, I'm punished by this group of people. If I'm real, right, I'm too much, I'll be punished. If I'm light, I'll just disappear. It's not me, right, to be wearing this mask. So this creates emotional confusion for you, emotional confusion, because you're going against your authenticity. Your authenticity may be saying, no, these are a bunch of fake people. I can't be around them, right? There's nothing worse than being surrounded by inauthentic people. It's better just to be alone on your own, you know? It makes you feel even more lonely, and it eats away at you, right? It eats away at you. Distrust of a connection that can come up too with the Venus in 22.2. Oh, I have this friend doesn't want to hear what's really going on in my life, just wants to hear the fun banter and the witty banter, wants to stay on the surface of things, right? So what was Venus 22.2? What's it teaching you? Well, it was revealing where you're expected to wear a mask. It showed you where you're expected to wear a mask. What relationships require that you wear a mask, right? Of emotional openness, meaning they have access to you in order that you be accepted. And that's the wound. That's the wound. And it's self-betrayal. And not everyone deserves your openness. And that's not unloving, right? To say, no, I'm not open to this today, right? To this interaction today. So Venus in the 22.2, it exposed where love, because you go back to love, right? Love in your relationships. It didn't bring romance or love. It exposed where love was being treated as a mood, right? Not a bond, right? This is love with conditions, right? I'll love you if you're always light and charming and open to me. Like you don't have a real life. You don't have to go to the depths, right? And if you're on my fractal, Persephone is one of your archetypes, right? Totally one of your archetypes, and that's the descend. And this is a great year of descent this year before we come into 2027, right? So it's like it was a mood. It was all about you being in the right mood, or the emotional mood for the other. It wasn't a bond. There's conditional love. So Venus showed you your relationships where there were conditions there, right? Placed on you. Okay. Let me know too. Put in the comments if you're resonating with this. Maybe not all of them, but maybe some of them. Okay. So if we go to Jupiter, Jupiter's really interesting. And Jupiter's in gate 35.1 in the New Year chart. So this is like the rule book. Jupiter gives us the rule book to follow, right? That's the program. So Jupiter is the rules of expansion, not truth, not wisdom. And so the conditions under which the Maya said that growth is allowed in this area, 35.1. So this is progress. It's the gate of progress through experience. Through experience. So the gate 35 is hunger. That's the shadow. So it's hunger for change. It's hunger for novelty. It's hunger for like what's next, right? It's hunger for movement. It's hungry for new chapters, new people. This is this is boredom, right? It's being bored. It's running away from this boredom. I want new. I want change, but it's not depth, right? I want surface change. I want a big change in my life, so I'm going to get a tattoo, right? Is that real change? No, it's surface change. I'm going to change my style and the way that I dress, right? That's all surface change. This is 35, right? It fools you in thinking that you're changing, but you're not. You're not. changing the way you want my fractal, which is like huge transformation. That's the kind of change you want. So this is not depth. Jupiter in the 35 is not depth. This is experience for experience sake. So gate 35, what it promises you, if I try enough things, if I flit, if I'm that bumblebee going from flower to flower to flower with all these new experiences, new people, right? Then fulfillment will finally arrive for me, right? And line 1, it's line 1. This is the foundational rules for experience. So it comes with conditions, right? So Jupiter says with the 35.1, it's like you may experience life, but you have to do it safely in small baby steps and with a safety net, right? So experience, but only after you're prepared. After you've prepared, you're going to do the experience. Only when you have the credentials. Only if it makes sense to your life, right? Only if it can be explained. Only if it doesn't disrupt the system. If it can't disrupt my relationships, anything else, everything else has to stay the same. This is Jupiter keeping you on the surface level. Right? So this is, the expansion felt like motion. Right? It felt like, oh, I'm doing something. I'm changing. Look. I've got these new people I'm seeing. I'm going to see I'm doing new teachings. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. But it's not change. It's not real change. Right? It's not real freedom. It's not real freedom. But for you, the fractal, right? You want emotional truth. Emotional truth. You want real intimacy and transparency. You want transformation. You want death and rebirth, honesty. Right? Persephone, you want to like descend, right? That's the real transformation, this death rebirth cycle. And if you're on the Phoenix, that's your cycle. You're continually going through this cycle all through your life, And Jupiter's like, no, stay on the surface here. Get a tattoo. So Jupiter 35.1 and refused depth. It surface change without transformation, right? Experiences without real intimacy, without really sharing yourself, right? With others. This is like I've got 50 friends, right? I have 50 friends and I'm flitting from one thing to the next. How can you emotionally invest in a friendship when you've got 50 friends? It's impossible, right? It's like that video that I uploaded, right? If your social circle is large, everybody likes you, that means nobody knows you, right? Nobody knows you because you don't show your depth. You don't show your depth, right? But it gives you this illusion. Well, no, I'm changing. Look, right? I'm doing all these things, flitting from thing to thing. No, you're not. That's not real transformation. And you know who knows? Your body knows. That's why you're frustrated. Your body knows this isn't real change. You're just in your mind's version of change. The ego's version of change, not self version of change. So this is like movement without surrender, right? It would be novelty without taking any risks. So you may have felt, right? But I'm changing things, but I'm changing everything on the external, but nothing's really changing. And that's frustrating to your soul. And Gemini, right? Gemini rules the 35. And this Gemini is like explanation, comparison, storytelling, mentally framing. So Jupiter here said, if you can explain your experience, it counts. It counts as transformation, which means talking replaces feeling. Talking replaces feeling. Processing replaces integration, like the talk therapy. Sharing replaces embodiment, right? So feeling, integration, embodiment, transformation. Labeling replaces transformation. So you don't want, if you're on my fractal, you don't want to talk about change, right? You want real transformation if you're on my fractal. You want the phoenix, right? Not the pretend phoenix. So the loop here is I tried something new. Why am I still restless? Maybe I need another experience. That's the hunger. Why am I still empty? And this creates constant motion, being the spiritual tourist, new teachings, new teachers, emotional fatigue, low grade dissatisfaction. You're avoiding your depth, right? You're avoiding not the void. You're avoiding the void right there, the descent into yourself. So enough movement, right? So it's an unmet depth, right? It's not reaching your depth, and you know this. So what Jupiter in the 35.1 was really teaching was like, wasn't saying have more experiences. That's the shadow. It was saying experience without depth is just distraction. Jupiter was teaching you that. Experience without depth is just distraction. This kept you distracted, right? So you didn't fail to grow in, right? You didn't fail to grow in 2025. You outgrew the experiences that changed nothing. You outgrew those experiences. That experience didn't give me what I wanted, right? I did this and I did that and I did that. There was no depth to it. So, not all change is growth, right? A surface level change is not growth. And your body knows that. Your body will let you know if you're in a growth phase, right? In a really transformative phase. So this is how the Maya, right? With Jupiter here, is like it revealed how the Maya keeps people busy instead of transformed, right? So you didn't need another experience. You needed a real one. You needed a real experience. And the real experience is what brings up fear. And that's the ego, right? You're real, like, oh, this will really transform me. I know it will, right? And this is, and it costs something. This kind of change always costs. Real transformation costs you. And it's going to cost you something that's not aligned with you anymore, that has to die. That karmic relationship has to go. That karmic job has to go. This karmic fractal has to go. It costs you real transformation. If you're able to keep everything in check and change, no, doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. It's about frequency, right? It's all about frequency. And it can't be explained away. It can't be just explained away, your transformation. So this is why a lot of people felt restless, right? Because of this. Okay. So let's go to our old buddy Saturn. Saturn. Here. And so it's in the 63.6 here. Saturn. Here we go. Okay. So this is the pressure point, right? So Saturn is like the Punisher, right? The Punisher here. So Saturn is like the don't screw this up clause, right? For 2025. So this place is where the consequences live, right? So that this will say if you cross this line, then the punishment comes. And then Saturn, through life experiences or whatever, it's like this isn't allowed, right? So it's gate 63. So this is about doubt. It's the shadow of doubt, questioning, suspicion. So it's the pressure to find certainty. The pressure to find certainty. So the core question is, what if this isn't true? So healthy doubt leads to clarity. And we can see this out in the collective. The ones that are asking questions, simple questions, that's not allowed. This is Saturn, the program that's stepping in. No, this isn't allowed, that you ask questions for clarity. So line 6, the tippy top, is like it's not asking questions anymore, right? because it's at the top. It's more like, are these questions, I'm judging the questions that you're asking. Are these acceptable? It's not you're not allowed to ask questions anymore. We can see the censorship coming up, right? This in 2025. So Saturn in the 63.6 wasn't saying don't doubt. It was saying doubt properly or else. There's certain things you're allowed to doubt and other things you're not allowed to doubt, right? So this landed with your creativity. If we go back to your creativity, right? And your creative expression, your play, your joy, your authenticity, your emotional truth. So the unspoken rule here with Saturn in the program, right, was you may express yourself, but don't challenge the narrative, right? Don't challenge the rules while you're doing it. While you can express yourself so far, but you can't be questioning the system that we live in, right? This not self system. So creativity had conditions, joy had rules, expression had surveillance, right? Maybe your romantic relationships, right? There were guardrails. I can't ask these I can't express this doubt in this relationship. So Pisces rules 63. A lot of Pisces ruled planets. Pisces ruled gates in this chart. So Pisces doesn't enforce rules loudly because it's Saturn in Pisces. Pisces doesn't enforce rules loudly, right? It enforces them through guilt, confusion, spiritual language, compassion, in air quotes. We're concerned about you, right? The ones that come to you and they want you to censor yourself, right? Well, we're really concerned about you, right? It's fake. It's all fake. Emotional shame, moral superiority masked as kindness. So the pressure felt like you're being unkind. You're not evolved. You're too harsh when you started doubting, right? You're not holding space right here. So fear of speaking your real truth. Saturn would bring this up. Hesitation to create freely, self-editing before feeling any kind of joy, second guessing your desires, pulling back from expression, feeling bad for not believing the story that you were told, right? Maybe you're getting gaslit by karmic relationship. You're not believing the story. I know that. I can feel in my body that person's lying to me. But feeling guilty about it, that I shouldn't feel guilty about questioning his story, right? So what was being punished was your creative expression that pierced through the illusion, right? That pierced through the fog. That's what was being punished. Joy that wasn't escapist. Your joy was an escapist. It wasn't about getting drunk and stoned and all those things, and all those escaping through addictions, right? It was coming from a healthy way. Punished for that too. Depth that disrupted the fantasy. Your depth disrupted the fantasy, the illusion. So Saturn in the 63.6 said, if you question the dream, right, you're gonna ruin the mood, Maya, right? The question the dream, the Maya, you're gonna ruin the mood here. So the loop here with the 63.6, if you haven't integrated this, right? It can feel like something's off. Something feels off to me about this. Am I allowed to question this? Right? Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe it's me. Maybe I should soften. Maybe I shouldn't be so intense. I'll just stay quiet. Self-censorship. If you're still in this energy, you need to get out of it. You got the next couple weeks to move out of this. Because what's with Saturn actually teaching? Right? That true creativity and joy require the right to question reality, not just decorate it. Right? You're allowed to question the prison that you're in, right? The mental prison or whatever, the prison that you're in, you're allowed to question that. And you don't need to decorate it. Let's decorate it with art, this prison, and pretend we're not in a prison, right? So true creativity and a true artist is that's what they do. They show up, they show the mirror, they're mirroring back to the collective, the truth, right? That's what a true artist is. So those who stayed honest, so maybe you did let me know that you stayed honest last year, you stayed in integrity, you would have felt this pressure the most, right? You would have felt this pressure because you're aligning with your authenticity and you're going against the program right here. So you weren't afraid to speak in 2025. You were being trained to doubt your own doubt, right? So doubting your own doubt. Your doubts there. Your doubt was there for a reason, right? So the punishment wasn't for being wrong. It was for asking the wrong questions. You were punished for asking the wrong questions. Any questions that shatter the illusion, right? You'd be punished for that. We saw that. We see that in the collective even now. Okay. And then let's go to Uranus. And this is the distraction. This is the distraction. It's a sidetrack of the Maya, right? Look over there. Don't look at the system. Look over there. So this is the thing the not self world becomes weirdly obsessed with while missing the deeper mutation. So it's not the main story. It's the shiny thing that everybody's arguing about, right? It's a huge distraction. So gate 23, line 5 is assimilation and simplification. So gate 23 is about translating insight into language. Making something complex sounds really simple. Saying I know, here's the takeaway. Right? So line 5 is projection. It's the fixers, it's the saviors. And so line 5 is where other people project solutions onto you. And you're expected to just explain it. People want the answer. They just want the simple answer. They don't want the process, right? Clarity is demanded on behalf of the collective. So 23.5 says, say it simply so everyone else can use it, even if it's not ready, even if it distorts the truth, right? This is the headlines that people read, right? The headlines. I don't want to read the whole story. I don't want to read the whole blog. I don't want to know about this. Just give me the headline. And the headline could be completely, you see this often, people with clickbaits. People are lazy. They just want to read the headline, the NPCs, and then this is their opinion now. They just read a headline. They didn't read the whole article, right? I just want the simple. Don't wake me up from the dream, right? This is the distraction. And it distorts the truth. It distorts the truth. So this could have happened in relationship dynamics, polarity, right? Me versus you. Projections onto partners or teachers or the others. Debates. Oh, we're just having a debate when it's really just a conflict between two people. So instead of saying something's wrong with the system, it becomes you said that wrong. You said that wrong. You should have used this word. What did you mean by this? Right? They don't get it. The person is the problem. Focused on the person. Right? The one speaking the truth. They're the crazy one. There's something wrong with them. They're not saying it properly. Right? They should have said this. They should have said that. So this is Taurus ruled, the 23. And Taurus doesn't like disruption. Taurus likes comfort and consistency. Taurus wants soothing certainty. So Uranus in Taurus says innovate, but don't destabilize anyone. Innovate, but don't destabilize anyone. And that's the trap. right? So the collective obsession here is like finding the right phrase of words, arguing over definitions. What did you mean by that word? Polishing language, simplifying things that were still alive and still evolving, like trying to put a label on it and put it in a box instead of letting the mutation take its time. So for you, you may have felt this pressure to explain your depth too soon, right? Misunderstood when you did simplify. When you did simplify things, you were still misunderstood. You were projected on the one, you have the answer, give me the answer. Blamed when clarity didn't land, right? Pulled into mental debates with other people. So you may have chosen silence. I'm not even going to speak because everything I say is distorted in this relationship. And that was an avoidance, right? It was an avoidance. You weren't avoiding, you were keeping your integrity. Because some things can't be communicated. Have you ever tried that? When something hasn't really cooked yet? I call it, it's like it's cooked and it's not finished. That's what it means. The mutation is still alive. And if you try to explain, the words aren't there. The words aren't, certainly clarity is not there because it's not clear in your body yet, right? So maybe you did make that choice. I'm going to choose silence, right? That's a good choice to make, and that maintains your integrity. So what's the loop? How do you know if you're still in this? Is your ego, mind, not self, will say, just say it simply. That's not what I meant. Why are people misunderstanding me? This isn't about me. I'm done talking, right? That means you're still in the loop. The real mutation is withdrawal from false Uranus, and the real mutation, what it's revealing is something is happening underneath, and to withdraw from these false values, false authority that's going to tell you what's going on out in the world in the collective, right? So what Uranus in the 23.5 was really revealing is the obsession with clarity, right? This is like the obsession with the my mind has to understand, and it's a way to avoid your transformation, right? There's a gestation happening. The mutation is for real happening in your body, right? So this is if you argue about something that's said, you don't have to face what's dissolving, right? So maybe let's take it back to your relationships. If you stay in conflict and we're fighting over this clarity, the mind needs clarity, right? It needs to be simplified. And what are you ignoring? What's real? And what's real is your relationship is dissolving. It's dissolving, right? So Uranus wasn't the breakthrough, it's the decoy. It's like the stone in the bush. Look over there, right? And that's this getting caught up with I know and trying to explain simplicity, right? So Uranus in the 23.5 did disrupt relationships. It exposed how often relationship becomes the battlefield when systems don't want to be questioned. We see this out in the world too, right? With people, figures fighting with one another, character assassinations, rather than looking at the system is dissolving. That's what's happening. Across the planet is dissolving now. So this may have been taking place in your relationships, right? So not to look at your relationship as a battleground. Go to the real issue, right? Something's dissolving. Okay, let's go for Neptune, 36.6. And this was the fog, the fog machine of 2025 was Neptune in the 36.6. So this is veiling, it's glamour, spiritual fog, misinformation, fantasy, right? It doesn't lie outright. Neptune doesn't lie outright. It's just like blurs everything, right? The fog. It spiritualizes distortion, and this is going into Aries, right? The conjunction, the Saturn Neptune conjunction is happening in February. That's huge at 0 degrees Aries. I'll do a video on that. I'm also going to be looking at that with the retreat that's coming up, just because it's in my mind here. January 23rd to the 25th. And the 26th is huge, right? That's when one of the planets goes into Aries. And yeah. Anyway, I'll talk about that later. But it's really the closing of the wheel is not the closing of 2025 into 2026. It's the closing of this epoch that's ending for 2027, right? This 400-year epoch. Okay. Let's go back. Where are we? Neptune? The fog machine. With Neptune in the 36. So this is the gate of turbulence, the 36, emotional turbulence, intensity. Is initiation through experience, the shock of unmet expectations. So this is learning, and it's the dark night of the soul too, 36.6. This is learning through emotional friction. Line 6 again, another 6 line. So this is the line 6 doesn't stay. This is coming off the solar plexus, right? Line 6 is not in the emotional wave, right? It's on the roof. It's on the roof. It stands above it. So Neptune in the 36.6 doesn't say this hurts, right? It says this pain means that it's something special. It's spiritualizing your pain, where you're holding on to your pain and your trauma. Romanticizes it, spiritualizes it, suffering, right? It's all about suffering. Some people get addicted to their suffering in their story. It's framed as destiny. It's turned into a story instead of processed. So you keep it in the story, the realm of story, instead of processing it, right? Which is just integrating the frequencies, the emotional frequencies, fear, sadness, grief. It's like, no, you stay in the story, right? This makes me spiritual. Like, look what I've gone through. You stay in your story. So the fog can hit through romance, desire, creativity, self-expression, joy, being seen. Look at me, I'm a suffering artist, right? So the collective message is like big feelings equals a meaningful life. Intensity replaces intimacy. Drama, crises replaces depth. Crises replaces truth. So Pisces rules this one too. And this is spiritual bypass right here. Right? So this is like Pisces dissolves boundaries. And this is like feel everything, but don't ground into it. Don't ground into it. Don't alchemize it. Trust the vibe, not your body. Pain is sacred. Confusion is part of awakening. Just surrender. Don't discern. And this is like, putting the mask on, the chloroform over your head, right? The spiritual chloroform. It numbs discernment while amping up your emotions. And this is when you get caught in these loops, right? These emotional loops. You don't get anywhere because you're not in your body, right? Neptune in the 36 keeps you out of that. So this can be destabilizing for you here. So this is getting emotionally overwhelmed without a resolution. Maybe this is like in your relationships you felt this, like just emotionally overwhelmed, you're looping, you're never getting anywhere, you're not integrating, you're not growing. Cycles of longing that went nowhere, romantic projections, right? Projecting the angel on to the karmic, just fantasy land, right? With Neptune here. Creative surges followed by emptiness. Being told your discomfort was growth. Oh, you're growing. You're in pain. You're growing. When you're not integrating, Being encouraged to stay in pain because, right, you're in an initiation and not embodiment. It's all about embodiment. This keeps you out of your body. So, so you don't want to work. If you're on my fractal, you're not. You don't want to worship the wound. You want to transform it. So if you're looping, you'll know that you're looping when it's like, this is intense, so this must be important. This karmic intensity with this person must be important, right? If it hurts, I should stay with it. If I'm confused, I'm surrendering. Why do I feel drained and nowhere? And this creates emotional addiction, attachment to crises, romantic suffering, spiritual fatigue, delayed clarity, not healing, suspension, like you're the hangman in tarot. So Neptune in the 36 says, stay emotional, stay confused, stay open, stay busy, but never integrate. Never, don't sit with it. Don't sit with it and integrate it. So what's Neptune in the 36? What is it actually teaching? What's the medicine? Well, the real lesson is that not all intensity means that you're being initiated. Not all suffering is sacred. Not all confusion is surrender. And line 6 sees through it all. Sees through it all. And once it's seen, the glamour breaks, right? So you weren't meant to live inside emotional crises this year. You were meant to recognize when it was being romanticized, when you were romanticizing emotional crises. So now, right? And that's the chaos. It's like the addiction to the chaos because I feel this adrenaline rush and my nervous system's activated. It's, wow, this is how I felt when I was a child. It's familiar to me. Right? This is like Neptune is like, no, step outside of this, right? So what integration means now is emotional sobriety with Neptune in the 36. Romance without drama, without the crises, surrendering with boundaries, joy that doesn't require you to collapse, and that's you exiting out of the fog. Right? So whenever you're dealing with Neptune, it's best just to surrender to the present now moment and sweep as you go. That's what I say. It's like things that come up, you do the work, the inner work. You deal with things as they arise from the body, what's real, and don't get locked into fantasies of the mind of what this is and creating stories about it. It's like, deal with it practically, right? Sweep as you go. Okay. And we're at Pluto already. Pluto. Last time. It's now in the 41. For next year. It's in the 41 right now. So there's Pluto, our old pal Pluto. 248 years it takes to go around that mandala. So 60.6. So Pluto is the truth. It's the truth that the program is enforcing. So remember, you have your own Pluto, right? The transit, the Pluto and the 60.6, those are for the babies, the souls that were coming in with this. That's their truth, right? But you have your own truth. But this is what was being promoted by the program. The collective truth. And what is it? Limitation. Limitation is structure. So the healthy form of structure, it enables a mutation to happen. It limits create focus for you. You focus on things. Boundaries allow change. But now we're talking about the shadow. And these are rules that are frozen. They're artificial ceilings. This is just how it is. This is just how the world works, right? We can't change anything. This is the shadow of limitation. And limitation is mistaken for reality itself. So Pluto here as limitation was presented as non-negotiable truth. This is just the reality of the situation. Right? Nobody's going to pay you money for that. Right? It's just the reality. We can't all do what we love to do. Right? This is what was promoted here. We're just all limited. We're all limited. So line 6, another line 6 is the end of the cycle exposure. This is the roof. So seeing the whole pattern. 6 line sees the whole pattern, and then it's done with. So Pluto in 60.6 is like, we're done with this. These old structures, right? We're done with this now. We're done. It's run its course. It's run its course. So this was about the exhaustion with the lies. Complete exhaustion. The collective is exhausted with the lies that everyone shares the same limits. And that's key, right? So the limits about where do I actually feel safe? My foundation. Where do I feel safe? What limits did I internalize as home? What does home mean to me? What does home mean to me? What limits have I internalized? Right? What limits? Right? So look at the limits that you've internalized. Maybe the limits are I can't be my authentic self. Right? I'll be rejected or abandoned if I'm my authentic self. So I can't do that. That's dangerous for me. That's a limitation that I've inherited from my childhood home. Right? I'm ignored in my home. That's another limit. I don't deserve attention or affection or whatever, right? Another limit that I've inherited. So dig these up. Pluto wants to dig up the truth. And once you see it, 6th line, then you can't unsee it, and then it starts to transform. So this is about inherited beliefs, family conditioning, mother. Look at your mother here. Ancestral contracts, emotional survival patterns, early imprints of this is all you get. This is all you get. Be happy with this, right? This is all you get. Look at your limitations. They're not yours. You've inherited them. This 60.6, Aquarius ruled. Aquarius ruled. So this is collective systems, mass agreements, shared futures, sameness, right? Sameness, this is the good for all. So Pluto and Aquarius expose the distortion. One truth lived by millions of people. Same rules, same limits, same definitions of safety, same life template. This is anti-Pluto because Pluto is always personal truth, right? Personal truth through transformation. So you may have, this year may have felt emotionally claustrophobic, allergic to these blanket rules. Well, this is just the way it is, right? Enraged by it maybe. Unwilling to live inside imposed ceilings. Disconnected from places that once felt safe for you, right? So Pluto on the 60.6, how do you know you're still in the shadow loop here without integrating? It's like, I can't live like this anymore. I can't live like this anymore. But this is how things work. Is something wrong with me? Why do I feel trapped at home? Why do I feel trapped in my body? Why do I feel trapped in my life? Well, Pluto's bringing up limitations that aren't yours. Right? So this is Pluto's working right now. If that's looping happening for you, it's working. And this is what happens before liberation. Right? So the truth, right? The truth here is your limits are the same as everybody else's. That's the lie. That's the core lie, that your limits are the same as everyone else's. Right? So that lie collapses individuality, That lie collapses individuality. It's time to face your uniqueness, right? And when I tell myself sometimes, because there's all fear, social media and watching the news and stuff, they're promoting fear for sure to keep us obedient, compliant, and then this the Borg, basically not self, Borg, hive mind, is to say to yourself, that's not my lesson. It's not my lesson, right? Just because you're a human doesn't mean that we're all going to be the same lessons. Each have our own lessons. We're unique, each one of us. So remind yourself of your uniqueness. That's what Pluto is teaching you, right? Because this kills mutation, and you're right. So you can feel this in your nervous system that we're each unique. So just if the fear is really coming on strong about, oh, you should be fearing this group of people, or you should be fearing this cataclysm or whatever, is to remind yourself you're on your own unique journey, right? This is time to embrace your uniqueness. Not self. Is the not self world does not want you going there, right? It's pulling you back, pulling you back. Um, so your limitation is personal. It's not universal. It's personal to you. And your structure must be individualized, right? So an individualized, this is your inner masculine that I talked about in the last video. A good way to use that with structure is your meditation practice, your sadhana practice that you do every day. You create it for you. It's individual to you, right? That would be an example of that. Safety is not standardized. It's not a one size fits all. What safe means to you is going to be different than somebody else, right? Or your own family. This, as soon as you say this limit is not mine, say it. This limit is not mine. Then Pluto starts to do its work and starts to transform, right? So this is when you withdraw your energy from that, from this. Well, we're all limited, right? We're in this boat, the collapse of the cross of planning, right? You have to remember your uniqueness is your superpower. Your creativity is your superpower. You're going to create something as things are collapsing. You're creating. You're creating. So you withdraw your energy from the system, you stop complying with the system, and you begin reorganizing your life from the inside out. So don't be falling for like this universal limitation that's going to come at us, right? With Pluto, that's come at us this year. So the trap of 2025 wasn't limitation. It was being told that limits belong to everyone. That limits belong to everyone. And we can really see that with the economy that's being fed to us, right? About, well, we're all limited. And it's like, no, you got to remind yourself, no, that's not my limit. It's not my limit. So the system was never built for your truth. The system that's coming down was not about your authenticity, right? But what's emerging is. Okay. So there are the planets, and maybe some things twigged for you. Let me know in the comments section. Definitely for myself, uh, those themes were coming up. Okay, so this was a tarot reading for the time that we're in now, the 28th until January 22nd, like a message here, right? That relates back. So if you're come to the fractal reading, you might want to just put your phone on pause and take a few deep breaths, get some water or something, and then come back. And this is like a way to ground the energy, because this relates to what I've been talking about, right? Okay, so my fractal My fractal. What do we got? The hangman. Okay. So the fractal reads. So what were the questions for this one? For these, the hangman and the four of pentacles. What are you being asked to release? Right? What are you being asked to release? The hangman and the four of pentacles. Four of pentacles, you're always going to look at control. It's control. So you're being asked to release control, right? That looks like patience. Well, I'm just being patient. No, you're controlling. You're controlling. It's disguised as patience, but you're in control. This would be like procrastination. You know that you have to move on something. Your intuition has been telling you got to bust a move, right? And this is like, I'm not ready yet, right? I have to wait for divine timing. I need to be patient, right? No, you're trying to control the movement. You're trying to control. So this is what you have to release here. Um, okay. So stop holding yourself in suspension to feel safe, right? And this is what you're doing. I'm holding myself in suspension. I'm putting myself on pause, right? To feel safe. To feel safe. So it's just like, just ask yourself these questions. That's all. Open your mind. It's like, am I doing that? Are there things that I know that I should be moving on that I've been procrastinating on? Where am I holding myself back, right? In order to feel safe. So this is withdrawing. This isn't about surrender, right? These two cards together are not about surrender. This is about withholding your life force energy to avoid the unknown. You're shutting down your energy. This is paralysis, right? This is freeze. It's like a freeze response because you're avoiding the unknown. You're avoiding the unknown, right? So you want to release the need to secure the old self before moving on. So now the pause has done its job. Says that you've already done the pause. It's done its job, and now it's time for you to loosen the grip, right, and let go. Yeah, because the old self is going. Remember your Persephone, the descent down, right? With all transformation, there needs to be a loss, and it's a loss of a not self, right? Okay, what must you stop explaining or justifying? Queen of Swords. And this is, you already know the truth. The Queen of Swords knows the truth. Stop arguing it into existence. That's enough that you know the truth. Stop looking for validation from other people of your truth. You know the truth. So you don't need to over clarify or over explain. You don't need to defend your boundaries. You don't need to educate people who are not listening to you, that don't understand you, and stop narrating your decisions to feel like I made the right choice, right, in order to feel valid. So silence is the boundary now. Queen of Swords here says silence is your boundary. Be discerning, right? All that prana to explain, that takes a lot of energy. It's like, be discerning now. And sometimes it's just silence is the best way to go, right? It's energy efficient. And it's so empowering to do that, especially with those people that you have to explain and explain and explain things and they still don't understand. It's like, to be silent is like so empowering to do that. So try it, right? Try it. Yeah, and your truth doesn't need footnotes. You don't need to give footnotes to people in the proof and everything. And this is why I this is why this is true for me. It's enough that you know that it's true for you, right? You don't need to prove it to anybody. Okay, and then the world card is, where do you need to withdraw to restore your innocence. All right. So the world doesn't mean, the world here does not mean engage with everything. It means the chapter is complete. The chapter is complete. An old cycle is done. And so this is the world card in this position is saying to withdraw from old cycles. There's an old cycle that's done. You know what this old cycle is. Your familiar identities, they're done. They're done, right? The rescuer, the fixer that I talked about. You're done. Roles that you've graduated from, right? And you'll know because it feels like, putting on old clothes that don't fit anymore. That's an old role that's done. And then relationships, of course. Relationships that you've graduated from, that you've outgrown, right? You said what you needed to say. It's done. You said what you needed to say. So you don't need closure conversations with people, right? Completion has already happened internally, so let it stay complete. That's what the world says. Let it stay complete. And what wants to be re-embodied? The Six of Cups, which is the heart of the spread, right? And this is innocence without regressing, going back. It's not nostalgia. It's not going back to an old self, but it's simplicity, it's gentleness, it's natural joy, it's pleasure. It's the part of you that doesn't need to become. That's already, you don't need to improve, right? You don't need to become something else. It's who you already are. That's your innocence. So this isn't about healing the inner child, right? It's about letting the inner child live again, right? And if you're on my fractal, you've done lots of healing, inner child work, right? So it's allowing your inner child to live again in your body in the present now moment. This is small pleasures, right? For the inner child, bringing small pleasures back to your life, simple rhythms, joy, right? Unremarkable joy. That's the medicine, right? Is to let that inner child, your innocence back. And what's preparing to be born in 2026? Look at this, the sun. So clarity's coming, but not through effort. It's not a goal, it's an emergence, just emerging. Joy becomes obvious again, direction becomes simple, and life feels honest, but only because you didn't force it early, right? So you don't need to chase the sun. You just have to stop hiding from it. You don't need to chase the sun card. You just have to stop hiding, right? This is the divine light. And it's the happiest card in the deck, too, in the tarot deck and the major arcana. Also represents the divine child. And then the anchor card is the Eight of Pentacles. And so this is about right effort. It's not about hustling and grinding or proving, but it's showing up consistently, tending to the small things in your life, letting your skill refine naturally, and practicing presence instead of fixing the future. So keep doing what's real, not what's impressive, right? That 54. Just do what's real. This is the sweep as you go card here. So you want to stop holding yourself still because you're out of fear, because of fear, right? Making a mistake. So stop holding yourself still. Stop explaining what you already know. Let the old world stay complete. Come back to simple joy, and what's coming doesn't need your help. Only your availability, right? That it's coming. And that's it. Yeah. So your only job now until January 21st is to live simply, honestly, and without self-defense. And the rest is already arranging itself. That's what this card Spread is communicating. Okay, so that's the fractal. So let me know if you resonate with these cards. Yeah. Okay, and then the twin flames. That's the wrong heading, but okay, there we go. So this is the twin flame reading, and it's for now until the new year, which is January 21st. Human design. Okay. So the question here, and so this is for my divine feminines who are with a twin flame connection or a karmic connection. Okay. So what's this connection? What's this connection activating in you? What's this connection activating in you? So this is activating truth consciousness with the Ace of Swords. It's not romance, it's not union, it's not reunion, it's truth. That's what it's activating in you. So this is about cutting through illusion, seeing clearly what is and what's not real, naming things without spiritualizing them, choosing clarity over comfort. So this connection exists to wake up your discernment, not to keep you bonded. And it feels sharp right now. It can feel sharp right now. And that's because truth is sharp when it cuts through illusion. Right? So if something's cutting through illusion, that's what this connection with your twin flame or karmic relationship is activating in you. What part of you is still bonded through karma, not love? Right? So Wheel of Fortune, this is the karmic loop. Right? It's the karmic loop here in this position. It's not fate, it's not destiny, it's a pattern. So what's bonded here is repetition, hoping for a different outcome. The definition of insanity, right? You keep doing the same things over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome, waiting for timing to finally change. Change will come, right? The hopium. Trusting movement instead of choice. And the wheel says this keeps spinning because you keep waiting. You keep waiting. So true love doesn't require gambling on timing, right? So this is like gambling on timing here, right? So spinning. So this is about choice, right? We'll go. Well, the lovers is here. That's right. Which is about choice. So where is the divine feminine being asked to reclaim her feminine authority? That's beautiful. That's the Empress card, right? The divine feminine. So your authority is reclaimed when you stop shrinking. Divine feminine, stop shrinking, making yourself small. Stop waiting for your karmic or your twin to change. Stop centering your attention on the other. Stop spiritualizing absence. Stop confusing receptivity with passivity. And the Empress doesn't chase. She doesn't chase. She doesn't explain. She doesn't wait to be chosen. She chooses herself, right? The divine feminine chooses herself. And then life responds to her. So this is the heart of the spread, right? Is that the Empress card. And what does true union require from you now? And remember that true union is your inner masculine and your inner feminine coming together, right? So that you become self-sovereign. Self-sovereign. And the twin is what mirrors the truth to you. Mirrors that truth to you. So what does true union require from you now? The lovers. So this is about choosing alignment, right? So the lovers here says union requires a conscious choice. And that choice is that you're choosing you. You're choosing your body and your soul are aligned. Your desire and your self-respect is aligned. Your heart and truth is aligned. And if a connection can't meet you there, it can't be union. If you choose yourself, that's the great thing about the karmics. As soon as you choose yourself, the karmic disappears. The karmic disappears because they don't really have a role in your life anymore, right? So you want to be making this choice to come in alignment with yourself, come into inner union with yourself here. Self-sovereign, self-sovereign. And then this is the 2027 relationships, right? And then what what will clarify if you stay sovereign? What's going to clarify when you stay sovereign? So if you remain sovereign, right? Self-sovereign, no codependency, self-sovereign, hope returns with the star card. Cleanly, faith becomes embodied, not imagined. Clarity replaces longing. Healing happens without forcing outcomes. The star doesn't promise a person, it promises peace. Promises peace, and peace is the compass. Peace is the compass here. And then the anchor cards, this was really interesting, the Eight of Swords and the Seven of Swords. They're saying you feel trapped, but you may feel trapped, but the cage is mental. Your cage is mental. And then the Seven of Swords is there's been avoidance, there's been half-truths, there's been self-betrayal, possibly on both sides, right? Your twin flame, if you're in a twin flame connection, or your karmic relationship. There's been self-betrayal on both sides. So the confusion has been sustained by silence, ambiguity, indirectness. Staying bonded costs mental and emotional freedom, your emotional and mental freedom. And clarity requires stepping out of the game entirely. So this is liberation, right? To move out of this game. And Seven of Swords says to be honest with yourself, right? Honest with yourself here. And this will free you from the Eight of Swords, like feeling mentally trapped. Is like this is what's keeping you trapped, is you're not being honest with yourself about where you're at, right? With your karmic relationship or your twin flame connection. So the connection came to wake you up, not to keep you waiting, but to wake you up. The karmic loop ends when you choose yourself without needing confirmation, and that's the teaching here. Okay. Okay. So this is about claiming your authority, right? Claiming your authority, ending the loop, choosing clarity, let truth sort the rest. This is divine feminine mastery here, right? So if you leave with any message, it's to choose yourself. Choose yourself. Okay. So that's what I have for the readings. And then to go back to, which I touched upon at the other part of the video, is you can see here, this is the Global Consciousness Program. This is the closing of the wheel. You see, that started in 1615. It's ending in 2027. And then we move from cross of planning to cross of the sleeping phoenix. So this is the closing of the wheel, and it's the last turn before the reset. So this is a threshold gathering, right? Here. So the online retreat, the core dates are January 23rd to the 25th. So we'll be going over the 2026 chart. And this is not about moving into another year. We're closing out a 400-year cycle, right? Of identity, authority, belief, survival structure. All of this is coming down, right? And it's also coming down internally. So externally, yes, we're seeing the collapse, but also the internal structures are are coming down as well. And so the Neptune Saturn conjunction, 0 degrees Aries in 2026, is a major reset point. It's Aries, 0 degrees Aries, right? Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. This is like a complete restructuring. And so this is the dissolution of your borrowed identities that you needed to survive to be in the cross of planning matrix, right? And the collapse of structures no longer hold truth. So this is, it's not about awakening faster, it's about ending the old story cleanly so the next cycle doesn't inherit the distortion, right? So I'll put more information about this, but I just wanted the people to have the dates in mind, and this will set you up, especially for this conjunction that's coming up. Okay, so closing of the wheel, the last turn before the reset. Okay, so that's what I have for you, and hopefully that was of some value for you. And if it is, then please like my video and subscribe if you haven't already. And you can follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. YouTube, I post daily on the community tab. Okay, so I will see you in the next video. Take good care. Sat Nam Aloha.